Welcome to the Mad Love Your Life show. I'm Mary D, the Joy Catalyst, here to be your host and transformation guide. Mad Love is about the mad, making a difference, and love is what we serve up to live a delicious life. My intention is to help you spark new ideas, break limiting beliefs, and align with your deepest dreams and desires. Get ready for laughter, inspiration, and finding your inner roar in every show. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Very special guest for us today. His name is Moshe Popack. He is a visionary third-generation entrepreneur, leads YMP Real Estate Management LLC, who oversees diverse property portfolios across 6 different states. Moshe is passionate about community well-being. He also founded the YMP Family Foundation and Neighborhood Farms USA, promoting healthy nutrition and local collaboration. He is also the host of the Common Denominator podcast, and he's a notable thought leader who offers expert insight and actionable strategies to sharpen mindset, crush limiting beliefs, and achieve boundless personal and professional growth. With roles on various boards and associations, Moshe's dedication to family values and social impact drive his multifaceted efforts for positive change. And we're super excited to have him here today. Moshe, welcome to the show. I'd love to kick us off by asking the question that I ask everyone on the show, which is, what is it that you know now that you wish you had known before you'd gotten started?
Well, I love that. Well, thank you so much for having me, Mary. Honestly, don't take things so seriously. I heard Jerry Seinfeld say this the other day. It was like every single thing that exists that you're giving energy to, that you're worried about, in a year, 5 years, 10 years from now, even shorter, doesn't matter, or longer, won't really matter. And the things that really matter are the things, it could be family, friends, or that when you go to war with somebody, that strife that you have with somebody, and you get past that. Those are the things that create meaning and purpose in life.
I love that. I love that. When you look back on your history and what got you here, what are some of those things that you would say are those pivotal moments for you? Like, what, if you look back and connect the dots, do you have some of those pivotal moments that you go, oh, wow, like I was so upset about this, that, or the other, but this is what came out of it?
Yeah, definitely. And I was just thinking about this yesterday. So imagine this. We're from New York. We live in Miami now 18 years, my wife and I, with my children. But before that, I went to law school, business school in New York. And we came, I guess I'd say, to basically to give an opportunity to our marriage. I was newly married, and I had left New York, and we came down for vacation, but we stayed in Miami. And at the time, that was probably the hardest thing. Our whole infrastructure, right? Our whole infrastructure talks about. I was thinking about this earlier today. It talks about in the Bible, in the Old Testament, the story of Abraham. Abraham has to leave everything that he's known, everything that exists in his life, and go out into the desert, and go out and go on that journey. And I think that looking back now, at the time that happened, because I had no family. In 2009, I have 11 children now. It's a large family.
Wow.
Yeah, exactly. We'll get into that. But 2009, I had 3 kids. I had no job. I had a job, right? So my law degree didn't matter because I took that in New York. And then I'm here in Florida. I had a job. I love real estate. I'm in the real estate business. But the whole market crashed. I had no job. I had 3 kids, no family. I was 35 years old, 2015, and I had 6 children, lived in a 3-bedroom with my in-laws. So it's a very, very long journey, but it's the most rewarding. I want to make like this foundation called the Second Mountain Foundation, right? A bunch of people on that second journey that we don't have to even speak. You get it, right?
Yeah,
So
absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, that's the second mountain. I love that because you're right. There's mountains we all climb, and I love the visual that you get from that piece. And let's go back to 11 kids because that's a lot of kids. Moshi, is this are the were these this family planning or is this bad family planning? Like which one is it?
so I guess it's a combination of the core of who my wife and myself are. So my wife's an only child, and my wife was a miracle child, right? So
Oh.
she grew up. Her parents immigrants. My father-in-law grew up in New York, drove a taxi for 10 years, lived in a one-bedroom apartment, no furniture, that type of life where she really didn't have. She kind of had to, because she was one that spoke English. She kind of had to raise her parents.
Mm,
Um, I had my own dream. I guess that's how we probably connected. Pretty tough divorce with my parents. We were five boys, and
mm,
but what did we both see? I love the creativity and the truth of children.
mm,
And my wife was very lonely as an only child. And so we just basically didn't plan. And I think it's the strangest thing that we have 11 kids. And my wife, her name is Yafa. She said to me only like 2 months ago, she's like, I can't believe I gave birth to 11 kids. Like, it was just like realizing now, right? I'm like,
yeah,
oh, by the
yeah.
way,
Yeah,
right?
she deserves a trophy. I don't know if you've given her one, but I would say that
Yeah,
that's got to be on the list for holidays this year because that's
yeah,
it's a lot of kids. That's a lot of kids. It's quite the
yeah,
legacy. Tell me
yeah.
about. I want to dive into this because I know I have a lot of entrepreneurs who are also parents who listen to the show. So I am so curious. I know you're a meditator. So where do you find the time and space to meditate when you have 11 children?
So it has to be either late at night when the kids are asleep, right? So as obviously the kids are in their first year when they give birth, because my wife we're together now 20 years, so she has been pregnant or nursing our entire marriage. That's
Wow.
the
Yeah.
visual, right? That's a
Yeah.
that's a lot. She does, right. So whatever she's a queen. It's like whatever you say, it goes. That's sorry. And we work together, by the way, and we work
Amazing.
together. So organized, lots of organized chaos, but so it's really early in the morning, right? So no TV, none of that thing. Everything's like it should be on a calendar, right? Efficient, like
Hmm.
time with each child, time, there's a time set aside time for each thing, time with me and her, right?
Yeah.
And it doesn't, right, you must do that. I always say uh the same exact energy, and you have to look yourself in the mirror, the same drive, because right, anybody that's an entrepreneur, they want to be successful. That's why they're going into business. They want to make it on their own. But the only way it's going to be sustainable over a long period of time is if you're holistically internally happy,
Hmm.
right? So you have to find whatever it happens to be. It doesn't have to be kids or marriage or things. It has to be. It can't just be I'm working 80 hours and that's all I'm doing.
Right.
Your brain needs certain rewards. You need certain things that fill your heart, right? That are filling to you. When I see the smile on my 9-month-old when he sees me, right? That for me is settling, right? I'm gonna go slay the dragon because these are innocent kids and there's a sweetness to them, and I know that 110% of energy my wife's putting in, so that's my job. So my
Mm,
job is to go out and with a smile, it doesn't matter up or down, right or left, do what I'm going to do. So, um, but the meditation comes in, and also I've been training martial arts for about 13 years, Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, and it's all about trying as best as you can to be as present as you can be, right?
mm,
In business and in personal life, it's a practice, right? You can get frustrated. Oh, I'm not being present, I'm not able to be. prayer, meditation, tai chi, qigong, right? These things, so you can observe and make not fight or flight decisions, but um, grounded in reality, not reactive, but offense from a strategy. And you can make
Mm.
right decisions.
Yeah. No, I love that. Now let's break this down because you obviously have a huge family. You run a business, and it sounds like your wife also runs that business with you. Did I understand that correctly? Awesome.
That's correct.
Okay. So then now you all co-parent, you co-work. How is it, like, there's so many people in the world right now, and there, I know right now people are saying to themselves, how does he get it done? How does he focus and get it done? So how do you build an empire while raising a huge family and also staying focused on your partner? Like, what are the things you've had to say no to, and how do you prioritize your decision making process and all of that?
I think that step one, I always use this as a good example because it's very practical. I think you take out that pen and paper and you begin, right. So priority. You have to write down what's really my everyday. What am I doing? Am I going Sunday 4 hours watching football? Am I doing that? That's fine. That's fine. But don't expect the longer term reward if that's what you're going to choose to do. There's no judgment in that, but you have to be honest and accountable, right? Like, am I going Saturday night? Everybody's going out to the club, and that's fine. Or am I going to bed early because 5 o'clock in the morning I'm going to go check out and see some properties that maybe I want to buy. I have my job during the week, right? So you write. So that's what you do. You write the things down, and you live by the calendar. But you're also, you must, in my situation, at least every day, every other day, 1 hour undivided with my wife because we work together and she's my wife, right? With the
Mm-hmm.
kids, we got to talk about. Um, I know that she's got my back, I got her back, but um, okay, you got it, good, we're good. But making sure that if there's a weakness that one of us has, the other person has to come in and get there. It's funny, uh, but 20 years of marriage, and I've said this before on my own show on Common Denominator. So I'm married to the same person 4 times, right? So, right, I knew you'd like that,
I like that.
right? Yeah. So that is super important to, I think, to anyone listening. They have to understand. Every next friend of mine is getting divorced now, and again,
Mm.
I keep using that I'm not judging anybody, but there is some beauty in any relationship. It could be friends, it could be your life partner. When you go through the insanity, because that's what I call it. It's insanity. It's nuts. Like, so much going on. We can't see. Perspective is
Mm.
completely off. But you go past that and you go past it together. That's what true deep love is. It's not what they showed you on the Disney Channel. That's
Mm-hmm.
not what it is not today. Throw that out all out in the garbage because you want to have a life partner where you're calm and you want to be around them. But the only way that fusion happens is going through the extremely tough things together.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only way. So if you don't do
Yeah.
that, don't expect, like anything. Don't expect a result different than that. So nobody's different, right? We're just choosing. Oh, it's
Absolutely.
too much pressure. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm out. And by the
Right.
way, most people, 10 years later, 5, 10 years later, when you ask them after the divorce, they say, you know what? I probably could have worked it out with this person.
Mm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
I see
Mm-hmm.
that. My wife and I, we, not that we counsel, just people come to us
Sure.
and we try to say, look past this. Which one of us is normal? You know what I mean? We all have
Right.
stuff, right? That's the
That's
truth.
right.
That's
That's
really the
no, it is
truth.
the truth. For sure,
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah, I think that that's one of the principles that I teach is around how, when people get into a place of ego and they're in a relationship and they can't see past whatever the issue is, that oftentimes what happens is they start demonizing the other person, which is why so many of these end in a bad divorce, not just a divorce, but usually a bad divorce. And so it's like, how do we get to a place where we can both put our swords down and come to the table and say, wow, like, is this workable? And truthfully, everything's got a solution to it if you really want to find it. And both people have to be willing to do that. And so, can two people get there? And sometimes do they just need a little break in between? Do they need to shift from how they've been operating to a new operating system? And a lot of people just don't upgrade. They don't upgrade their relationship in a way that allows them to do that. I imagine that as you have even added children to the relationship, right? One kid is one thing, but then you add the second dynamic and the third dynamic and the fourth, and now you're 11 in. I mean, you guys are pros. You might as well keep going. I mean, are you done, or are you going to keep going?
Yeah. No, we're done. No, we are done. My oldest is 18 and 16, and they
Nice.
right. One of them works with us, but they do work together. Just I tell this to a lot of parents in school. Just the basics of managing your finances. So they run a vending machine business. So they got to find locations but it's simple, right? It's like it's a pretty simple business. They have spreadsheets like income, expenses, but they don't teach you that too much in school. Like
No, they
you,
don't.
fine, look at me. I got into this Ivy League. I'm doing this great thing. No, the day to day relationships, finance, right? So
Mm-hmm.
you have the the basics to be happy and successful, um, in your life.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I love this that you have, obviously built yourself a real estate empire, but beyond that, you also have a social impact piece. And I'd love to talk a little bit about that because I would love to also understand like how you also, I'm assuming, integrate your family into that as well. But let's talk about beyond the balance sheet. What does social impact look like? Like, where did that come from and what does it look like? And also, can other people get involved?
For sure. So thank you for that. I so there's two pieces. I just have both my wife and I. Uh, we believe with humility, um, and truth seeking. There humans have unlimited potential. But what is it in society? One person after the next, bad actors and people surviving and manipulation in games.
Right.
So we'd love, like, if I think about impact, social impact, right? The name of our podcast is Common Denominator. That's the way we give back. We talk about the things we have in common that connect us as humans. As we saw, we just had the election. And what is it? Almost 50-50, right?
Almost, yeah.
Almost, right? So that's the reality. That's the reality. But 98% of humans, right? We all sleep, we all eat, right? We do it. We're human,
Right.
right? We have so much in common. We want to differentiate ourselves, and the powers that be try to do that. But we want to. So that's one thing. Through the podcast, hopefully, through truth and authenticity, you and more people can connect with each other living in that space. We create, hopefully, through the show, a lot of people reach out um, and things that are outside of the box, but practical tools in mindset, in finance, in family, and things that we're doing, that other things are possible. That things are possible. So that's one social impact, and the other one, which stems from, it's called Neighborhood Farms USA, and we have a vision there. So what's going on today? Why do we have so much chronic disease and so much, like, we're spending trillions of dollars in healthcare? In the end, you are what you eat. My wife spent most of her childhood, and she was, from one doctor to the next, always sick, and she went on a journey of um, of food. That food is medicine, and
Mm.
um, but she grew up in a very poor community, and she was seeing like processed food was less expensive than just an apple or an orange or something like that. So we have um, a lot of our real estate is workforce housing communities. So we figured teach nutrition, right? There's all this green area in Florida and other places, right? So in that green area, instead of non-edible, we can have these raised garden beds and teach these kids, instead of going out and making trouble after school, teach them about farming, the basics of like, wow, for free, here's some seeds. You can create fruits and vegetables, and it's really education, right? You see the way the kids' faces light up, um, and the more we can teach people about that, you can take authority of your health through healthy food eating, and everybody can do it. It's not it's not controversial. It's not out of the box,
Mhm.
and hopefully, one community at a time, we can educate people about eating healthy. So
I love
that's
that.
our social impact. Impact. Yeah.
Yeah, amazing, amazing. Yeah, such a great principle, and I think that as things start to shift again as we move forward, I would love to see obviously more sustainability around that. And you're right; it's practical, actually. People just need to be educated around it, and I think that as we find that these younger generations are all starting to go back to trying to do their own little farming, their own gardens, you know, making tinctures, doing the whole thing. And it's remarkable. It's remarkable. And food really is medicine. It can be. I don't know if you know this story, but I come out of, I'm almost 7 years now breast cancer survivor. And so much of that was, done through just cleaning up my diet, cleaning up the products I use, and feeling really good, and deciding to not do chemo and radiation. Those weren't good choices for me. I was like, no, I'm gonna trust that nature's got a remedy for me that's gonna feel really good, and I'm so grateful that I did it that way. Because had I not, I don't know what condition my body would be in today. So I'm super super grateful for good nourishing food and the people in my life who are able to educate me on that, because I feel like I pay it forward. I'm always looking at my family and saying, did you read a label? Where are you shopping? Where did you get that? What are we growing? And fortunate to be raised by an immigrant mother who also, she knew how to grow her own food, and that's what she did. And we had fresh vegetables all the time, because that's just what she knew. And there's so much to be grateful for in pulling from our roots and our heritage, and sharing those things with others and being able to spread the good news. I really love that. Let's
Yeah.
talk through, I am really blown away, because I think the last time I met someone with so many children, it was actually my baseball coach in high school. He had 9 boys. How he got 9 boys out of the whole thing is amazing. But I was like, wow, he literally has a baseball team. Like, that's incredible.
Right.
So you've got him beat at 11. And
But
I know,
by the way, but 9 boys. Yes, 9 boys and 2 girls. Yeah.
oh my
Yeah. Yeah. That's what it is.
gosh.
Yeah. Yeah. Baseball team. Yeah.
You do, you do.
Yeah.
You have a
Yeah.
baseball team and then some, Tim, and a couple
Yeah.
cheerleaders.
Yeah.
So let's talk about we were talking about meditation. I love that you have a jujitsu practice. That's amazing. Everyone I know that's ever done jujitsu they're some of the most disciplined, grounded people that I know. And I think that sport teaches people so much, about those two things: patience, compassion, and also strength in a really positive way. So I'm so interested, because it's still a big job, and I know that you can talk about parenting with purpose, and I want to hear more about that, because I think it's so important. And I think it's important that you've clearly already set up your wife and yourself as being, you have a certain mentorship to both of you, just because not only have you been married for the length of time you've been married, but you also run a business together. Those two things are already difficult, let alone doing them together. And it sounds like you have a really healthy flow in those things. And it's easy to glorify how long people have been married, but it's better to glorify the quality of the relationship. And I feel like you two are demonstrating that, in addition to raising a family that you can also raise, knowing about finances, getting them involved in the business. And I think more people are interested in that, but they don't necessarily know how. So when you go back to the parenting part and involving your kids, the latter, who are getting older now and are going to be they're
Yeah.
miniature adults, right? They're about to be, one's legal, the rest are right behind. And so what does that look like? Like, how do you set them up for success without just handing them cash, because I think it's too easy. My generation, we might have gotten paid for chores. Like we had the whole work for your money scenario if we got it, or they got a set allowance, and that was kind of a gimme. So how do we set up our children for success in without handing them everything and letting them build some level of resilience so that they can grow up, make their own good decisions, and move forward? I'm curious on how you handle that.
I think first of all, whether they're going to have success, and even if they get married, who they marry, because that life partner is extremely important. Um, there's a lot of, I guess I talk about this a lot, but a lot of surrender, which comes surrender in faith, right? There's a lot of that. Both my wife and I have. It's not necessarily a um, an actual day to day of because I come from I guess a traditional Jewish background, but it's at least a belief in something greater than yourself.
Mm.
That's where I think so you surrender to that. But the other piece of that is you're just a vessel, you're a vehicle, and parents should really understand that whatever's going to be their journey, it's their journey. Your job is unconditional love.
Mm.
So what does that mean? Without condition. We want to give, um, and I've mentioned this a couple times on my show, but because it's so important, that the deepest need of humans is validations. Oprah interviewed like 30 years of men, women, and children, and she found that that was the commonality of all humans, that they
Mm.
need to be validated. But as a parent, don't look for your validation from your child. You have to be there as a sounding board, and don't hand them those things. If you see that they have to make their own decisions, what they want in their life, what they're gonna do. I have 11 children, and every single one of them are extremely different. They're similar, but extremely different on their personalities. So you have to. It's a dance. You have to kind of push them. Always let them know, we're here. We love you. But use your brain. You guys, right? My son's 18, 16. These kids, go out there and face the world, because they're going to need to. And you're doing a
Right.
disservice if you keep holding their hand. They're ready to go, these kids, you know?
Yeah. Yep, absolutely. Yeah. What is when you see your kid, because I come across this all the time with my mom friends, right? And there I joke, because one of my best friends, I call her a little bit of a helicopter mom. And what's the reminder that you give yourself when you see your kid almost like reaching for the hot stove, and you've already given them guidance, but they're still reaching for that hot stove? Like, how do you rein back the ability to not jump in and rescue them, even though you know you can, when it can be a learning moment? Like, how do you harness that?
I think for me, right? So I have 11 children. What goes on in my mind? What's my framework? My framework is that knowing that my wife and my children are going to be safe. For me, it's safety.
Mm.
With 11, right? I have little kids, and I'm constant. Like, that's where my mind is wired.
Mm.
The other day, my son, he was in school and he saw his car get sideswiped, and I had this conversation with him, and then the car drove away, and he followed the guy, right, to try to get his plate, and I had this safety conversation with him. He's 16. I'm like, very possible could have been carrying. A lot of people are not normal, and
Mm.
right. So you gotta have that. Um, you gotta have that conversation. But the more you can let your child, it's a training. You have to allow your child to fall. If you don't, you're doing a disservice. How did we learn? We learn by our failures. You have to allow that. If you're going to sit there, oh, let me make sure your laundry's done or your this is done. No way. You let them go. I know at 13 I was living alone in Manhattan. I was in high school and in the dorm, and that was it. Good luck, right? I mean, and we
Yeah.
somehow we survived, right? We're here. We have a lot more resilience in us if we're pushed as humans.
Yeah. No, I would definitely agree with that. That
Yeah.
resilience, that adversity builds resilience, and we get more of it if we're not constantly saved from those situations, but rather get to use them as learning. Yeah, beautiful, beautiful. So let's talk through how you stay mentally sharp. Like how do you? What's your health and wellness routine, Moshi? What are some of your hacks? What are some of your just habits? Because I think that I'm sure some of them are probably the some boring ones, but they're consistent, is my guess.
Yeah,
And I think more people need to hear that and just know that it's normal. Like it's not necessarily normal to, I don't know, inject yourself with blue dye on a daily basis. There's probably better, easier, simpler ways, and share some of those with us today.
for sure. So, um, create in your mind whatever that win is. If you, right, so you've eaten healthy all week, but you get just something simple, a scoop of ice cream. You're like, oh wow, right? Like that's so you create this thing where you again your brain needs those rewards. But for me, again, that consistency. I used to get and I trained myself on this. I used to get if I didn't get enough sleep, I'd have a certain reaction. Now I'm like, oh, maybe tonight or the next night I'll get sleep. So you have to be present. I have every night, which I love, an infrared sauna. I think I do like
Mm,
a deep meditation. What it does is it heals. It heals my organs very much. I am not the type, if you can, right? If you can do work, I like to pace. So you're doing lots and lots of steps. So when you're doing, when you're doing exercise, it helps you, um, you know, bring down your again that fight or flight and be able to be present and make the right decisions. But also, and I keep going back to the food you eat, processed versus original, right? The more original thing from the ground, fruits and vegetables, a sweet potato, Brussels sprouts, a banana, right? The closer
yes.
to that rather than packaged, you'll just gonna feel better. You can have rewards. I call it like 80-20 or 80, right? You can do those things, but the general sense, I think everybody should just turn to yourself. How do I feel? Am I I'm doing these things. I don't feel good, but you want the changes to be sustainable. So my wife was a holistic health counselor, and she told me the hack is basically like this: if you're drinking like 8 cups of soda, a day, change one thing. No soda, water. Do one thing, do it over a few months. 21 days it takes to make a habit. So I think of food, um, exercise, and sleep. Right? If you do the food,
Mm,
exercise, and sleep, then you'll have the possibility that the stressful things that come in front of you, you'll be able to not react. It's always step every time reaction, 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 reaction. The less you can do reaction, and then be present, no matter how crazy it's going, the better you will feel inside.
mhm. Mhm. Yep. No, I think you're right. I think it really does come down to those 3 major areas, and if we can just master those, they make
Yeah.
all the difference in the world. When I had breast cancer, after I decided not to do any of the chemo or radiation, I did have surgery. I remember going to, an oncologist. She was my second opinion oncologist, and I was like, "Hey, am I doing the right thing here by not choosing these treatments?" And she looked at me and she said, "You know what, Mary?" She goes, "If I could really break it down to what helps people on their healing journey after a big thing like this," she says, "if people would just clean up their diet and exercise in most cases, that is half the battle." And I thought, "Wow, it's 50% plus what can impact someone's healing and whether they get a recurrence and all that good stuff, and how many people can do it, you know?" And I realized that it's sounds simple, but it's not always simple, right? Because people can feel
No.
addicted to food. They have a nostalgia with food. When I see, even now, when I see something like a Hostess cupcake, I'm like, oh my gosh, I remember being like 8 years old and I remember Hostess cupcakes. I also know that if I reach for that cupcake, I'm not going to enjoy it like I did when I was 8 years old because I don't have the same relationship with sugar I did as an 8 year old. And it's really fascinating, though. I know it's actually going to probably make me feel not great. And so I'm not going to do it. And it's, but that doesn't always sit for everybody, right? Everyone's got their own demon around exercise, food, and sleep is another really big one. I'm curious, do you in your household, since if you're prioritizing sleep, and again you have a lot of people you're sharing a house with, how what are your, do you have like a bedtime routine? Do you have are you like earplugs, eye mask, like what tell me about that process, because I want to know how a father of 11 gets a good night's rest.
Well, it depends on which part of the cycle over the past 20 years, right? So my wife is extremely uncomfortable in her third trimester, right? Tossing and turning, and I become like a light sleeper, and then those first 6 months, baby's in the bed, right? So I know this too shall pass. Like I know that, right? That this time of non-sleep will pass, and now my baby's 9 months, and just 2 weeks ago sleep trained, and I'm like, wow. And we're going now next week for 2 days, and she asked me, I think I'm okay. I think I have milk stored. I think I'm okay that we can leave the baby. I'm like, wow, this is great. This is like just those wins like that. That's it, right? You're like,
Right,
wow, nice,
right.
nice. Because it's empathy, right? You have to, this is right. It's crazy that she held 11 kids, right? And for 9 months, and then she nurses at least a year each child, which is like, right?
Mind blowing.
And
Yeah.
devotion, yeah, it is, and yeah, and so night routine. So when I can, again, for me, just to calm down, that sauna. I have like a small infrared individual wooden sauna, so I go in there really like relaxes, but then I'll do like a cold shower, but also just calm down, um, and no, not any. Sometimes I'll listen to some relaxing music, but by the end of the day, because it's on, right? We run
Mhm.
the company. It's whatever needs to be done, and I guess I'm the guy that tell my team and the business side that the worst of the worst problems, whatever you guys can't figure out, you give to me. So I'm that guy, right? I'm the guy that has to deal with the stuff,
Right.
right?
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So
CEO and the janitor. That's how it
right.
goes sometimes.
That's it. Yeah. That's it. Right? And you have to laugh about it. That's true. You have to laugh about it.
Totally.
Right?
Totally. And
Yeah.
talk to me about some of your beginnings. Like how did real estate even show up for you? Is it like was something your family did, or is it something that you had to come in and learn?
So I saw it somewhat growing up in New York. My grandfather, my father, in that space, but again, we picked up and we left 18 years ago, came to Florida, so we didn't really know anybody. But that kind of first opportunity, I lost my job, but I always liked the idea of creating things that are broken and fixing them. Like, so a lot of the stuff we'd buy foreclosures and bankruptcies, and turn that around. A lot of our properties, and we'd hold them long term. Uh, but that first opportunity, that first deal that we did in Miami, I took all our wedding money, all our savings, and I put it down non-refundable. Right, that step. Right, we always talk about starting. Uh, I did. I figured if I don't do it now, I'm never going to do it. Right, and everyone pushes that off. That sense
Mhm.
of urgency. Right.
Mhm.
So, and then I was doing everything. I went before I closed on the deal. The chief of police told me that there's shootings here, there's drugs here, it's terrible. You should
Mhm.
take your money, run away. But it was too late. I wasn't getting my deposit back, and we closed and we bought the property. And for $200-300, I would sit 11 o'clock at night, and I discuss payment plans on people's rent that they owed. You do, in the end, when you're starting out, don't expect anything. Expect to do everything. Expect no, there's no free handouts, there's nothing. But doing that over a long period of time, uh, the way the universe works is that you're going to get rewarded on the other side. But you have to do that part.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
And now, right, I'm almost 45, and so we've been in business almost, I guess, 14 years. And now I'm seeing of that years and years. What we always talk about that, right? It's like things that people don't see, but that's what it is, right? Where whatever sacrifice I'm seeing things in the kids, gratitude from them, gratitude from other people, and I'm so grateful. But years and years and years, and you're seeing the compounding effect. It's amazing just to watch that. Um, you don't expect it. It's surreal. It's really nice to see.
Yeah, I love that. I love that so
Yeah.
much. So what's the future look like, Moshe? What's ahead?
So I'll tell you, right. We have a certain amount of time here on this world, and I the greatest joy I get. Obviously, I want my kids to be safe and to fill my to fill their potential. And so I want to help them do that as they become adults, and then more and more, uh, maybe um, some events, some speaking events, and things like that to help and impact with practical advice. I recognize probably my story is a little bit different than the typical, but my greatest joy is seeing people reach their potential because I know that it's there, and the more that I can do that, but people that really want to, I guess my neighborhood is people that kind of had a tough time, hit rock bottom, tough
Mm,
stories, but they're willing with humility to each person do the work, and I want to be around the best people in that space in the world, and with them we can make the most impact in a positive way.
I love that. And tell us how to get in touch with you if we want to reach out to you today.
So uh, we have our podcast, Common Denominator, YouTube, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts, and then we're on Facebook, on Instagram, LinkedIn, all social media. It's Moshe Popack or M Popack, and you just DM me, and we get back to you. I really enjoy trying to help people that really want it. It's a labor of love, and one person by one person we could probably make a difference together.
I
So
love that.
appreciate it.
Absolutely. You're what I call a domino, right? You click that first domino, and there's a lot of dominoes that fall right behind it,
So
and it's a beautiful thing. So thanks for being
thank
a
you.
domino in the world. All right, very last important question. What is your
Yes.
favorite Guns N' Roses song?
So I go in the so sometimes what I also enjoy is I enjoy cryotherapy, and
Mhm.
so in it's 3.5 minutes. I'm up to like negative like 160 or something.
Yep.
I'm extreme by nature, but anyhow. But
Yep.
the song that I have playing is, and I've seen Axl Rose last year, and it was great. Is November Rain. I
Oh.
just happened to enjoy that build up. I mean, right, knocking on heaven's door, right, don't cry. But the all time favorite is November Rain. That's what it
Nice.
is. When I'm playing poker, when I'm doing it puts me in a meditative state, and it gives me clarity for things that I want to do. It's just there's a lot there in that
It's a
song.
good one. That's a good
Yeah.
one. Yeah, and I'm with you on the 3.5 minutes. So I don't know if you do this hack when you do cryotherapy, but I actually have them put that there's
Yeah.
3 people in there, and it makes it
Mm.
really like it's snowing when I walk in there, and it's one of my favorites when I'm doing cryo as well. So just
Right.
have them put it on
Yeah.
3 people instead of 1, and it's a game changer also.
I love that. Right. Awesome.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much. So, folks, if you want to get in touch with our guest today, just check out the show notes or pop down into the comment section, and you are going to see a way to get all of the goods in case you didn't catch the notes there that he gave you. Also, that's today's show. We are going to extend the version here on YouTube over at the Mad Love Your Life show over on YouTube. So if you want to grab an extended version, we are going to dive in a little deeper with Moshe. We're not going away today just yet. And until next time, may abundance always walk beside you. May joy always go before you. And may love always guide you on your path. Thank you for tuning in to today's show. We air live every Wednesday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Bold Brave TV. We hope to see you back next week. For more ways to connect with my guests, content, programs, and retreats, just head over to www.marydee.com and subscribe. That's MARYDEE.com.